Moments after being back from Bhutan, he reaches Delhi's LNJP hospital to meet the blast victims. In a short while from now at 5:30 p.m, the Prime Minister is going to chair the key security cabinet meet to take place after that. And politics over the Red Fort blast. Karnataka Minister Zamir Ahmed Khan expresses shock at the Delhi blast ahead of the Bihar elections. He warns against political exploitation, says that terrorists have no caste or religion. And a CNN News 18 exclusive, it accesses exclusive visuals from inside the control room. Exact moment of blast has now been caught on camera. Explosive device went off prematurely. No crater or shrapnel found at the blast site. MHA sources reveal that raids forced the suspects to run away. A Jaish-inspired Fiddain attack in Delhi signals a resurgence of urban terror networks, with Maulvi Irfan radicalizing the doctors. Two lady doctors arrested from Srinagar and Anantnag in connection with the Faridabad terror module. Sources indicate that these doctors were coordinating the logistics and funding for the module. And after the explosion in the I-20 car claimed multiple lives, police are on high alert. Search is on for the Brezza and a Red Fort Eco Sport, which has been linked to a Red Fort blast. All stations, posts and border checkposts have been put on high alert. Faridabad's Al-Falah University is under scanner after a Delhi blast. Over 52 have been questioned. 6 have been taken into custody, including 3 from the campus. University issues a statement, distances itself from the jihadi doctors. Okay, the top story which we are all keeping track over here at CNN News 18, and that's the reason why we are coming to you live from outside the LKM, the Prime Minister's Residence Plus office, and that is the critical cabinet meeting, the first one after the Prime Minister came back from Bhutan, and also the first after the Red Fort blast. But before the cabinet meeting begins is the all-important CCS, or the Cabinet Committee on Security. The CCS, of course, is being chaired by the Prime Minister, top-notch leaders and ministers of the party. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, along with all the MHA and the PMO officials, and of course the Cabinet Secretary are going to be present there at the meeting. Prime Minister is going to take stock of the entire situation. He has been and will be briefed further by all the officials as well as by the Home Minister. That's the big story which we are going to be tracking over here. But before I go across to our special guests who are going to join us shortly, let me go across to all our reporters who have been reporting relentlessly from the ground. Arunima, right over here outside the LKM. Anshul, who's at the Red Fort. To you first, Anshul. There have been fast-paced developments, lots of interrogations and lots of, details which are coming out. If you could just recapture it for our viewers, which way the investigation is heading, what really has been the update?
Look at the investigation that has happened till now. Definitely it has come out as a shock for the agencies as well. The entire white-collar terrorism network that has been exposed by the Jammu Kashmir police, whose links have been found out here in Faridabad and different parts of Uttar Pradesh as well, including Saharanpur and then eventually in Lucknow as well. The manner in which this nexus was operating, that is something that has come out as an absolutely shocking revelation even for the agencies at this point in time, and that is the reason why since this morning there have been several raids that have been going on in different parts of North India. Be it Faridabad police, the crime branch of Faridabad police has constantly been carrying out searches near the Al-Falah University. In fact, inside the Al-Falah University as well, there are teams that have reached. Apart from that, out here in the national capital, the special cell, the crime branch, all of them are trying to find out that what was the exact route that was charted out by the accused to initially reach over here. It has also been told to us that there is another vehicle that has has been spotted, that has been linked to the accused, and the search for that vehicle is also on at this point in time. Is also going on at this point in time. Apart from this, if you talk about Saharanpur, it has come out in the investigation by the UP ATS that Saharanpur was also being identified as a location from where a small command and control system could be established for this entire nexus to operate. The entire nexus starts all the way from Kashmir to over here in Saharanpur as well. Several white-collar terrorists have been identified, taken into custody. But the larger question that still remains, who was driving that I-20 vehicle? For that, the kind of evidences that have come to the fore, it is increasingly seeming like that it was Dr. Umar from the Al-Falah University who was driving that vehicle, and it was he who had gone ahead and did this entire blast. The only missing link, or the only missing puzzle that is missing at this point in time to link this blast with the Al-Falah University is the DNA test of the missing body part, or of the unknown body part that has been recovered from the spot, with that of the family of Dr. Umar. Once that is done, then this entire chain would be established with evidences. But yes, as I mentioned in the beginning itself, that this entire nexus has come in as a shock for all the intelligence agencies and the agencies on the ground as well, because no one ever suspected that people who are studying science can also go ahead and fight for this so-called fight for jihad.
That's right, Anshul. And I'm just going to come back to you, but Arunima is also standing right outside LKM. You know, Arunima, the CCS meetings normally last for a very, very short time. I remember the last time round after the Pahalgam terror attack, the government had given out pictures to show how the entire CCS was deliberating, how the Prime Minister had sent out a very, very strong message. But you have been reporting on this. Would you say there has been more concerning about the fact, the shift in the kind of terror module? You know, gone are those days when people would think that it was young, innocent, unemployed, uneducated youth who have been lured into acts of terror. This time round, deeply educated, highly qualified doctors. Is that a worrying sign?
Move location because NIA is probing the case and there are important meetings going on in NIA. 10-member team has been set up. They have been through the day looking at various aspects of this case, from Faridabad to Jammu and Kashmir to Saharanpur. And this concern about radicalization has been seeped in the internal security system for some time now, for some years now. Home Minister Amit Shah himself has been warning at the DG level conference that happened. But this kind of a module which took into its wing a gold medalist from the Srinagar Medical College, top performers of medical sciences in Saharanpur, in Lucknow, in other parts of the country. And the worry is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. NIA and the local police in Jammu and Kashmir, in Uttar Pradesh, in Haryana are now looking to identify perhaps other members of the module who have still not been unheard. And in that sense, all the digital devices that have been seized so far are being scanned. There are at least two Telegram groups which are under scanner. All the members who are part of that group are under scanner. There are at least 4 to 5 vehicles which have been used by various members of the module at some point. They are under scanner as well to try and ascertain who are the people who are providing logistical support, who are the people who are giving them resources in terms of place to stay, resources in terms of funding. And that is the key focus area of NIA and the other agencies involved currently.
Okay, Aman Sharma is also now joining us from the newsroom. You know, Aman, the CCS meeting, the last time round, I was asking this to Arunima also a short while back. The last time round, we got those pictures of the CCS is because the government wanted to convey a message that the Prime Minister was grim. He was determined to take on Pakistan because zero tolerance when it comes to acts of terror. That's what happened post that Pahalgam terror attack. The Prime Minister means business. I mean, he goes to Bhutan. That's a diplomatic commitment he has to fulfill. He sent out a very strong message to Pakistan or to a terrorist. Then he goes straight to LNJP to meet the injured, and now this big meeting. What's the big message which the Prime Minister really wants to convey to the nation?
The Prime Minister in the last 48 hours, if you look through soon after this blast happened outside the Red Fort, he called up Home Minister Amit Shah asked him to rush to the spot to the LNJP hospital. Yes, the Prime Minister had to go for this Bhutan trip, which was a pre-scheduled trip and a commitment. But I must tell you that even during the Bhutan trip, the Prime Minister kept himself abreast with every development which was happening in the Delhi blast probe here back in Delhi. All the agencies have been working overtime for the last 48 hours to join the dots of this Faridabad module, the Pulwama module, and are there any links beyond that? I believe, and the Prime Minister landed back in Bhutan, straight away went to the LNJP hospital, has met the injured and is now at his residence, where the Minister will soon start coming in ahead of this 5:30 p.m. cabinet and the CCS meeting. At the CCS meeting, Pallavi, what I am told is that there will be a detailed report presented to the Prime Minister. Home Minister Amit Shah will be briefing the Prime Minister on what all have the security and the investigating agencies unraveled in the last 48 hours since this blast, ripped apart outside the many vehicles outside the Lal Killa metro station. 9 people have died in this unfortunate accident, and the Prime Minister is very, very clearly saying that this particular incident, though the government so far has stopped short of calling it a terrorist attack, the Prime Minister has used the word shadyantra or a conspiracy. He said the government will get to the bottom of this conspiracy and none of the plotters will be spared. So it is very interesting now on how further this investigation leads us to. There's already talk that the Jaish-e-Mohammed has indoctrinated these Pulwama terrorists who have come and studied at Al-Falah University and then, or worked here and then carried out this terrorist strike, and major part of that module was also busted by the agencies. But still this one man, Dr. Umar, has managed to slip through the cracks and carry out this blast. Maybe a bigger catastrophic event has been prevented by the agencies, and all this will be briefed to the Prime Minister today. But it is very clear that what will the government do next? What is the response of the government? We all remember that Operation Sindoor is still on pause. That's what the government has said repeatedly. Yes. So how does the government react to this? All eyes are on that post the CCS meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Aman, Anshul and Arunima. Of course, we're going to keep coming back to you. But for now, I'm going to just go across to a special guest this evening who are actually going to put that entire incident into perspective. I'm being joined by Major Manik Jolly and also Shashikant. He's a former IPS and a security expert. Thank you very much for joining us on CNN News 18 this evening. Shashikant, I really want to ask you this question, which is what we were discussing a short while back. Is that a change? I would not say an immediate change. This has been happening and this has been a worrying sign. That, there was once a perception that those who are being lured into terror activities are those who are unemployed, uneducated, so they don't know what is happening. But in this case, the investigation, the probe is revealing that they are qualified, doctors. They are those urban areas terrorists. This change in module, how do you shift? Do you look at it?
You're absolutely right, ma'am. Right on dot. This is a massive change and a very serious change that has come in. Earlier, it used to be semi-literate persons or persons who could be really brainwashed. Where here we have doctors, highly educated, who are committed to work for the humanity, for the upliftment for the humanity. They're getting into this thing. That shows the amount of motivation through these psychological means. I'm sure when the agencies go deep into it, they'll find there's certainly certain psychological tools must have been employed to brainwash these persons. These are highly educated persons who got into this particular thing, that trying to destroy the unity of the nation and try to indulge in the terrorist activities all over. And again, you very rightly mentioned 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate, that means, and I'm sure there must have been lost by the persons who were at large, and probably they wanted to indulge in several incidents all over the country in different places. That's why there was such a major haul of the explosive devices, remote control things, etc. And again, like you said, like we talk of urban Naxalism, that kind of thing which is coming up is penetrating into the urban society. Highly educated, supposedly sophisticated persons, educated persons, highly educated persons, motivated persons. Doctors are a motivated lot. They've joined this profession for the upliftment of the humanity, to serve the persons who really just want their services, want their help to come out and live again. These kind of persons indulging to this thing, again I say, it's a very, very serious matter. And again, the psychological tricks which might have been employed by the handlers sitting wherever they are, most probably I'm sure they are sitting in Pakistan, because the lady who has been arrested, she was heading the ladies' wing of Jash in India. That clearly shows that some linkages are there, but I'm again surprised And I'm sure I have worked in agencies for decades now. So I'm sure that we all were taken aback. Hey, what's happening? And it's such a kind of destructive mentality that has creeped into these gentlemen doctors, these persons who are the really flag bearers of humanity, humanism. It's indeed a very serious matter, and I think only the cabinet committee on the security, which is going to meet very soon, I'm sure it's a serious matter. That shows the government is serious, the Prime Minister is serious, Home Minister is serious, the entire country is serious about it, and I'm sure that particular meeting is going to send very strict and strong signals to such rogue elements who are trying to disrupt our social fabric of the nation. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Major Jolie, I just want to ask you this question that remember Operation Sindoor was never ended. It was just on pause, and the Prime Minister has repeatedly made a mention of it, even the Defence as well as the Home Minister, because we are also conveying a message to Pakistan that you have to be on guard. Don't think that you're going to get away so easily. Today, as we look at the Red Fort blast, which could have actually been worse, and while the probe is still going on, Major, to figure out whether there was something bigger planned ahead, the army obviously is always well prepared. But you expect from the CCS, and I don't expect it to come out very openly because CCS doesn't come out with any kind of a briefing, but do you expect that the government has already sent out that message, will be sending out that message that, India is always ready. India is always ready to take on Pakistan as well as the terrorists.
Yeah, good evening, Pallavi. See, the thing is that first coming to the CCS part, once you have CCS headed by the PM, it means he's the leader of the gang. You come up with options to him, the Home Minister, the Defense Minister, the NSA, and more or less the investigation is concluded. That is when you take it to the PM. We may not know, but fine, they are chasing the cars and they're chasing the OGWs, but they would have established this is where we are, this is what we can do, these are the options available. And as far as sorting out Pakistan is concerned, I think we all tend to divert towards kinetic action, that is a war or a surgical strike, everything. But there are other means also. An act of war also technically does not imply only when you're firing guns or your jets take off. Let's say abeyance of the the Indus Water Treaty was also act of war. It's a traditional siege warfare thing. So how PM tends to go ahead with this will be his call. Moreover, when he said that every act of terror will be taken as a war, it means we will also deploy all resources possible, all means possible at our end to answer that very emphatically and in a solid manner. It means the options are available. Which one they go with is going to be, of course, PM's call. The surprise, which is the backbone of a successful military operation, is kind of lost here. We have made the announcement, Op Sindoor is on, the troops are deployed, they know what we can do. So kind of it'll be a very challenging option if we go for the military option at this stage. However, what they do is for everyone to see. And I'd just like to add one thing on the question you asked, sir, here, that on the radicalization. See, the radicalization goes on for years and decades. It does not happen that, okay, here are some doctors, let's try and radicalize them. What they do is they identify the right candidates and then see where they go, or even push them to become a doctor or engineer. The OGW since 90s have always been influential professionals. They've been bureaucrats, they've been police, they've been doctors, engineers, everybody, journalists, who've been in the society and then run these networks. It's the foot soldiers that we identify as terrorists, but these are the guys who've always been in prominent positions to run these networks and support the terrorism in its country. So it should not come as a surprise that these guys are doctors. Even if you look at the posts by students, Indian students, foreign university, Indian students here, you'll see that the radicalization mind is ready, but then these guys are approached and they're taken on and trained and supported.
Okay, I'm just going to come back to the two of you because we still have some breaking news coming in, and I can see the cars have begun to come in slowly. So countdown begins for the cabinet meeting to begin in another 15 minutes time. But before that, Anvit has some news coming in, and well, what we are learning and what Anvit has been reporting is that Umar Mohammed used a fake address to purchase the EcoSport car. He provided the address of a house in northeast Delhi to purchase the car. The Delhi police has raided that address in northeast Delhi late last night. So Anvit is now joining us live. Anvit, the car and the missing cars is something which the focus of the investigation has been on. What more can you get for us?
Yes, and the person of interest remains to be Umar Nabi, who is the person suspected to have been driving the vehicle, the very I-20 that was detonated right in front of Red Fort. And now what we are learning is that he had bought that car on an address, on a fake address. He had given fake address proofs, and that address belongs to Northeast Delhi. Delhi police had also sent teams to this address to verify, and they found that this address was fake and was fraudulently used by Umar Nabi to procure this car. This car currently remains the center of the investigation because we do not know the explosive that was used and that was stuffed in the rear of the car, whether it was from the same module and same recovery that were made from Faridabad, or it was procured from some other sources. The exact nature of explosive is also yet to be found out. However, they are saying that a huge amount of ammonium nitrate that was recovered after the busting of Faridabad module, and the ammonium nitrate used in this car could be from the same batch. Also, it is being said that the explosive that was used was kind of high military grade explosive because the kind of explosion it was and the intensity it was and the damage it has caused not just to the spot but the people around and the vehicles around at that time at 6:55 p.m. on that day. So Umar Nabi remains to be in the picture, and his sample of his parents have also been taken to confirm, because the blast was such that the occupant of the car is no more. His remains are not there to confirm, and therefore a DNA sampling has been done, which only will confirm if it was Umar Nabi. And now the police are also tracking this car, the details of I-20, trying to find out from where it was procured, who were the people who had provided the logistics, and how the entire operation, this entire terror operation, was conducted and executed.
All right, Anvit, many thanks. Remember, the car becomes a very critical issue when it comes to the investigations gathering steam, and we have been reporting on this all the way through relentlessly the last 24-48 hours. I can tell you that CNN News 18 has been giving you all those exclusive details first right over here. But a quick update coming in from the Cabinet Committee on Security, which is about to begin at around 5:30 p.m. What we are learning is that the Home Minister Amit Shah, the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh have already reached inside the LKM just 10 to 15 minutes. I would say it's around 10 minutes ahead of the big CCS meeting, the first one after the Red Fort blast which has taken place. So that's the big update. I'm going to try and go across to both Arunima and Aman, who are going to give us some more details on the CCS. But you know, it's not that the Prime Minister... Okay, I'm going to go across to my guests who have been joining. Shashankji, I was just talking to you a short while back while we are waiting for the CCS to begin. And as we just pointed out, the Home Minister and the Defence Minister are already inside. You know, the fact that this seems to have been kind of very well planned. You know, many say that it was premature, perhaps it was meant for a later date at a different kind of a level. But would you say that clearly that Operation Sindoor, or clearly the Pakistan has not, if I'm presuming that Pakistani hand is now going to become very officially announced by the government at some point of time by our investigative agencies, but India's strategy has been able and also has been to get world opinion on our side. I mean, you know, the support from the world leaders have been coming in thick and fast moments after the Prime Minister spoke in Bhutan. So in Bhutan, from Australia, all of them have stood by us. Okay, let me go across to Arunima. I'm sorry, Shashanji, I'll just come back to you in a bit. Arunima, the first leaders have begun to arrive, which is the Home Minister and the Defence Minister. You've been tracking the Home Ministry through the day, 24 to 48 hours, several rounds of meeting which has been held by the Home Minister. What have you been picking up from those meetings, which I guess will be reflected at the CCS also in a short while from now?
So there are two things before the CCS currently as we are being told. One is complete briefing on the internal security paradigm at the moment. This is not a blast which has affected Delhi alone. This is a blast which has its ramification in the nearby states and perhaps pan-India as well. Even as we are seeing that the Faridabad police, the Uttar Pradesh police and the Jammu and Kashmir police are cracking down on the module, there are suspicions that there could be other module members in other parts of the country as well. So this homegrown radicalized module, how is it that India is really trying to resolve this process of radicalization? What is it that the plan of action is? Prime Minister himself has been in touch with the National Security Advisor, and the Home Minister, I think, is going to brief him on where the intelligence agencies stand as far as this particular module is concerned. The other response, of course, would be, if at all, a military response, because in the past, the Prime Minister has made it clear that any act of terror on India from now on will be treated as an act of war. So even though officially speaking, India's response this time has been measured because we are waiting for more evidence to come in, but sources have been telling us that the Jaish-e-Mohammed module's print is very clearly visible on the way this entire conspiracy was hatched. So that will be, the Prime Minister will be apprised of those details as well. And I think post these briefings, a call will be taken as to how to go forward. The Prime Minister has already said that Red Fort will be avenged, but how, when, that call I think will be taken, as we have seen during Operation Sindoor. A free hand was given to the armed forces.
All right, and remember, we are just going to wait for the CCS to begin. In another 10 minutes is when the CCS, to be followed by the cabinet meeting, is going to take place. The guests continue to remain with us. We're going into a short break, but news continues over here on CNN News 18.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farooq Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish-e-Mohammed were recovered from the room of the Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन के पता नहीं किस हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनके नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ, अबे छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी में डर गया, पुलिस क्यों ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन, मैं हूँ इमाम साहब का। इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते हैं इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। मैं चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको क्या, फिर वो गया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहाँ से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
उसके बाद
इस चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने इधर एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला, फिर गया अंदर कमरे के साथ। मैंने बोला ये चाबी भी उसी के पास है। उन्होंने मैसेज दिया उनको कि ये चाबी भी मौलवी साहब के पास है। फिर उन्होंने बोला रखो, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर हम आएंगे। वो 18 दिन आया नहीं है। 18 दिन के बाद पुलिस आए दिन को 4 बजे, आया वो मजिस्ट्रेट साथ था, वो सरदार है सब इंस्पेक्टर। उसने बोला फारूक साहब चाबी ले जाओ, तो चलो खोलो दरवाज़ा। हमने दरवाज़ा खोला, ये भी और वो भी। वहाँ से तलाशी की, ठीक ठाक से बजट के, तो वहाँ से निकला जैश-ए-मोहम्मद के 3 पोस्टर है। हमें नहीं पता, सरदार ने बोला यही वो पोस्टर है जो नावगामा में चस्पान हुआ। उन्हें बस वही तीर पर लिखा है, उस पर ये महल वालों की धमकी है, अब सुधर जाओ, गलत काम करते हैं। और
तो उससे पहले किसी ने ताला खोला था कमरे का?
नहीं, 18 दिन उन्हीं के पास है। हम अंदर गए, क्या करना अंदर?
नहीं, उससे पहले पुलिस ने तो नहीं खोला था?
नहीं, जिस दिन पहले गिरफ्तार उस दिन भी नहीं खोला, क्योंकि चाबियां हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबियां उसी के पास है।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farooq Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish-e-Mohammed were recovered from the room of the Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन के पता नहीं किस हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनके नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ, अबे छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी में डर गया, पुलिस क्यों ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन, मैं हूँ। इमाम साहब का इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। मैं चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको क्या, फिर वो गया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहां से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
हाँ, उसके बाद
इस चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला, फिर गया अंदर कमरे के साथ। मैंने बोला ये चाबी भी उसी के पास है। उन्होंने मैसेज दिया उनको कि ये चाबी भी मौलवी साहब के पास है। फिर उन्होंने बोला रखो, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर हम आएंगे। वो 18 दिन आया नहीं है। 18 दिन के बाद पुलिस आए दिन को 4 बजे आया। वो मजिस्ट्रेट साथ था, वो सरदार है सब इंस्पेक्टर। उसने बोला फारूक साहब चाबी ले जाओ, तो चलो खोलो दरवाज़ा। हमने दरवाज़ा खोला, ये भी और वो भी। वहाँ से तलाशी की ठीक ठाक से बजट के, तो वहाँ से निकला जैश मोहम्मद के 3 पोस्टर है। हमें नहीं पता, सरदार ने बोला यही वो पोस्टर है जो नौगामा में चस्पान हुआ। उन्हें बस वही तीर पर लिखा है, उस पर ये महल वालों की धमकी है, अब सुधर जाओ, गलत काम करते हैं। और
तो उससे पहले किसी ने ताला खोला था कमरे का?
नहीं 18 दिन उन्हीं के पास है। हम अंदर गए, क्या करना अंदर?
नहीं, उससे पहले पुलिस ने तो नहीं खोला था?
नहीं, जिस दिन पहले गिरफ्तार उस दिन भी नहीं खोला, क्योंकि चाबियां हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबियां उसी के पास है।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farooq Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish Mohammed were recovered from the room of this Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन किया, पता नहीं कि हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनके नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ, अभी छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी, मैं डर गया, पुलिस की ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन, मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन, मैं हूँ। इमाम साहब का इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। मैं चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको क्या, फिर वो गया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहां से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
हाँ, उसके बाद
इस चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला।
Okay, staying with our top story, which is the Red Fort blast. Lots of details pouring in fast. First over here, and exclusive ones on CNN News 18. Well, we've accessed some more fresh pictures of the old student days of Dr. Shaheen. Remember, one of the persons involved in this terror attack at the Red Fort. These pictures which you're seeing up on your screens are from her student days, and which essentially we are tracking it back to those days. Let me go across to my colleague Manmohan Rai, who's actually accessed these exclusive pictures. Manmohan, हम थोड़ी देर पहले यही सब बात कर रहे थे कि जितने डॉक्टर्स हैं, those who are qualified, they are the ones who seem to have been involved this time round. But about Dr. Shaheen, as you access those pictures, क्या जानकारी उनके बारे में, उनके स्टूडेंट डेज के बारे में आपको मिल पाई है?
No, she's essentially a girl from Lucknow. Her family is from Lucknow, and she was a class topper even during her student days when she was in intermediate. She was always a class topper. She was a very good student. The pictures we just showing right now are from her medical student days when she joined the Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Medical College in Kanpur. So she studied in Lucknow, did her schooling in Lucknow where she was a class topper. And then she got selected in medical entrance exam and was allotted the Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi Medical College, which is in Kanpur. She did her MBBS from Kanpur. And the pictures of those days when she was a student in Kanpur, her hostel pictures. There is one picture of her CPMT form, the medical entrance examination form. So the family, even a brother qualified as a doctor. So they were quite studious. The family was inclined towards academic pursuits, and they were very, an educated family trying to uplift their status in society.
You know, Manmohan, I don't know if you've been able to speak to many of her peer group, some of the students who may have shared a classroom or lectures with her, but have you been able to understand and figure out by speaking to your sources about whether this was a certain turnaround moment when it came to Dr. Shaheen, or was she, any case, inclined towards these acts of terror? She genuinely believed that she was going to attain, some kind of martyrdom if I'm going to carry on these acts of terror. Did they notice a change in her pattern suddenly?
So nobody can point a finger on when the sudden change happened, but by all means, she was a bit conservative, bit traditional. She was studious. She was, a family-oriented person, and she used to confine herself to her house, to her studies, to her school. One of the reporters spoke to her former husband. She later divorced from her husband, who is also a doctor in Kanpur. So, according to him, the version that he gave, that he also never found any unusual behavior in her, except the fact that she was a qualified doctor. She used to do her duty, and she was a bit of a homely person, confined to her home. It was after the divorce, the husband, the former husband, said that Shaheen wanted to shift to Australia for some strange reason. She was pressurizing her husband, her then husband, to move to Australia. She wanted to stay abroad, work abroad, and he was not inclined. He had relatives and friends in Kanpur. He wanted to stay back in Kanpur, and other differences also cropped up, and they later divorced. So this is the background. Nobody really found any unusual pattern in her behavior, and she was always considered a homely person, academically inclined, and a quiet person.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Manmohan, for getting us those details. Certainly worrying signs, because doctors are supposed to give you lives, and here doctors are involved in taking away lives. Our guests continue to remain with us, Major Jolly as well as Shashank, security expert. To you first, Shashank, we are talking about the CCS, which I'm presuming has already begun, because all the CCS ministers, including the NSA, have already entered. Major Jolly was talking about this fact that the army is always on alert. But more importantly, the element of surprise, that's very critical. That element of surprise, if you want to take any action against the perpetrators of terror, that becomes a very critical factor. But what do you think are the options, or what is it that the government today, the Prime Minister, must be weighing the options at the CCS meeting, which is going on right behind me?
Well, if you're asking me, I think options are, it's an open canvas. It's for the Prime Minister to take a decision on the basis of whatever input Mr. Ajit Doval or the Home Minister and other members of the Cabinet Committee on Security, they give us. It's open. And because I think it will be difficult and it won't be appropriate for any of us to jump the gun and to try to guess on this particular thing, because it can have very serious repercussions, not only for the national security, but even on the international fora. But yes, one thing is obvious, that the Prime Minister has given a clear-cut message to these persons with this bent of mind, that whatever happens, India is committed to rooting out terrorism in this country, and this kind of behavior will not be tolerated. Here I'd like to add one more thing. Now that all these persons have been picked up, this is about the time for the security agency to go in for their profiling, because this will give them an idea about what kind of persons in the future might get attracted towards this particular kind of nonsensical behavior, this kind of terrorism and all those things. This is the most important thing. Other things, like as you rightly mentioned, and my co-panelist had also rightly mentioned, is for the Prime Minister to take a decision on the basis of whatever input is being given to him. It is his choice. Thank you, ma'am.
You know, Major Jolly, there has been one concern which I know governments has often been raised whenever we've been debriefed by government sources. They have talked about the social media which has been misused, you know, all these messaging apps, and you know, we've been reporting on this. Much of these planning happened on the social media app, of the messaging app of Telegram. The fact that they are encrypted, that's been one area of concern. And the government, you know, while respecting our privacy, and I won't say it's just in India, but I think it's happened world over. But this latest incident, do you think this is something also which the government may now have to act upon even more stringently? And I don't know if it's going to be taken up inside the CCS or not. But you think this is also an area of concern which all governments of the day face, but particularly our government?
Yeah, thanks, Falah. See, the thing is, when I started my career in MI, I was one of the first guys who worked on cyber and communication. It was early 2000 when all these things had just started. Since then, the problem has not changed. It's been now 25 years. If you go after one app, they'll find another app. You can customize the app. You can communicate through gaming apps. You cannot actually restrict the communication. You can fight with the app holders, and it'll be a long drawn battle of IT Act versus the legality and privacy. But the point is that controlling the communication and reviewing it all the time is a near impossible task. So while it is a good idea to do that, achieving it is near impossible. So what needs to be done is, rather than trying to cover umbrella that covers Telegram, WhatsApp and everything, even the data is by billions and trillions of messages each day. How do you sift through it? No amount of AI can do that sifting per day. You have to lock down the sources from the communication originates and develop from there. Like these guys have been caught. You identify who were they talking to, and then you build it step by step. It's a long process, but it is much more fruitful than just trying to cover the entire and just throw the net in the lake and hope for some fish to walk into it. Swim into it. That's not going. That's really impossible to happen. And agencies have been trying to do that for decades, but not to much success. Even the foreign agencies have failed miserably because the task is near impossible. Creating a messaging app is not as complicated as it was 2 decades ago. If me, Mr. Shashikant, and you want to talk to each secretly, there are 50 ways I can just suggest in next 1 minute, and nobody would even look at them. That's the problem. Nobody's looking at them. So just focusing on Telegram, WhatsApp, or emails is not going to generate too many results. We need to focus on the sources of communication or the individuals which are talking on this. Thank you.
That's a double-edged sword. I agree with you. I mean, social media,
I just want to make one point.
The social media, privacy on one hand, and also how do you control these messaging apps? For now, we have to go into a break. But many thanks, Mr. Shashikant, as well as Major Jolly, for joining us this evening, even as we cover that important CCS meeting, which I'm being told has just about begun. We go into a break now, but news continues over here on CNN News 18.
Go Power. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farooq Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish Mohammed were recovered from the room of this Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन के पता नहीं कि हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनको नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ अबे छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी में डर गया, पुलिस क्यों ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन? मैं हूँ इमाम साहब का। इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते हैं इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। मैं चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको किया, फिर वो गया इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहां से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
उसके बाद
एक चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला, फिर गया अंदर कमरे के साथ। मैंने बोला ये चाबी भी उसी के पास है। उन्होंने मैसेज दिया उनको कि ये चाबी भी मौलवी साहब के पास है। फिर उन्होंने बोला रखो, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर हम आएंगे। वो 18 दिन आया नहीं है। 18 दिन के बाद पुलिस आए दिन को 4 बजे आया। वो मजिस्ट्रेट साथ था, वो सरदार है सब इंस्पेक्टर। उसे बोला फारूक साहब चाबी ले जाओ, तो चलो खोलो दरवाज़ा। हमने दरवाज़ा खोला, ये भी और वो भी। वहाँ से तलाशी की, ठीक ठाक से बजट के, तो वहाँ से निकला जैश मोहम्मद के 3 पोस्टर है। हमें नहीं पता, सरदार ने बोला यही वो पोस्टर है जो नौगामा में चस्पान हुआ। उन्हें बस वही तीर पर लिखा है, उस पर ये मालूम वालों की धमकी है, अब सुधर जाओ, गलत काम करते हैं। और
उससे पहले किसी ने ताला खोला था कमरे का?
नहीं, 18 दिन उन्हीं के पास है। हम अंदर गए, क्या करना अंदर?
नहीं, उससे पहले पुलिस ने तो नहीं खोला था?
नहीं, जिस दिन पहले गिरफ्तार उस दिन भी नहीं खोला, क्योंकि चाबियां हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबियां उसी के पास है।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farouk Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish Mohammed were recovered from the room of this Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन किया, पता नहीं किस हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनके नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ, अभी छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी, मैं डर गया, पुलिस क्यों ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन, मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन? मैं हूँ। इमाम साहब का, इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते हैं इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। मैं चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको किया, फिर वो गया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहाँ से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
उसके बाद
एक चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला, फिर गया अंदर कमरे के साथ। मैंने बोला ये चाबी भी उसी के पास है। उन्होंने मैसेज दिया उनको कि ये चाबी भी मौलवी साहब के पास है। फिर उन्होंने बोला रखो, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर हम आएंगे। वो 18 दिन आया नहीं है। 18 दिन के बाद पुलिस आए दिन को 4 बजे आया। वो मजिस्ट्रेट साथ था, वो सरदार है सब इंस्पेक्टर। उसे बोला फारूक साहब चाबी ले जाओ, तो चलो खोलो दरवाज़ा। हमने दरवाज़ा खोला, ये भी और वो भी। वहाँ से तलाशी की, ठीक ठाक से बजट के, तो वहाँ से निकला जैश मोहम्मद के 3 पोस्टर है। हमें नहीं पता, सरदार ने बोला यही वो पोस्टर है जो नौगामा में चस्पान हुआ। उन्हें बस वही तीर पर लिखा है, उस पर ये मालूम वालों की धमकी है, अब सुधर जाओ, गलत काम करते हैं। और
उससे पहले किसी ने ताला खोला था कमरे का?
नहीं, 18 दिन उन्हीं के पास है। हम अंदर गए, क्या करना अंदर?
नहीं, उससे पहले पुलिस ने तो नहीं खोला था?
नहीं, जिस दिन पहले गिरफ्तार उस दिन भी नहीं खोला, क्योंकि चाबियां हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबियां उसी के पास है।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
And in yet another exclusive, News 18 has also spoken to a Masjid Committee Chairman Farouk Ahmed on the link with the Maulvi Irfan. He has said that 3 posters of Jaish Mohammed were recovered from the room of this Maulvi by the police after they opened the lock of the room in front of the magistrate.
पुलिस ने फोन किया, पता नहीं किस हमसाय ने मेरा फोन नंबर दिया, वरना मुझे उनके नावगाम के साथ वास्ता नहीं है, मुझे छानपोरा के साथ, अभी छानपोरा थाना आता है। फिर मैं इधर एक और आदमी, मैं डर गया, पुलिस क्यों ढूंढता मुझे 10:15 बजे। मैंने हमसाय को फोन, मेरे साथ था, वो आया इधर, यहाँ बोला उसने फारूक साहब कौन? मैं हूँ। इमाम साहब का, इमाम साहब के पता नहीं क्या शाहमत है, इमाम साहब को ढूंढता है, ये घर गया आज। मैंने बोला इमाम साहब यहाँ रहते हैं इधर, हाँ दे दो चाबी। में चाबी हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबी उसी के पास है। फिर वो सब इंस्पेक्टर ने फोन किया थाने पर या किसको किया, फिर वो गया इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, इस चैनल पर हाथ लगाया, वहां से निकल गई इस गेट की चाबी।
हाँ, उसके बाद
इस चाबी निकली, फिर उन्होंने इधर एक चाबी दरवाजा खोला, फिर गया अंदर कमरे के साथ। मैंने बोला ये चाबी भी उसी के पास है। उन्होंने मैसेज दिया उनको कि ये चाबी भी मौलवी साहब के पास है। फिर उन्होंने बोला रखो, जब जरूरत पड़ेगी फिर हम आएंगे। वो 18 दिन आया नहीं है। 18 दिन के बाद पुलिस आए दिन को 4 बजे आया वो मजिस्ट्रेट साथ है, वो सरदार है सब इंस्पेक्टर। उसने बोला फारूक साहब चाबी ले जाओ, तो चलो खोलो दरवाज़ा। हमने दरवाज़ा खोला, ये भी और वो भी। वहाँ से तलाशी की ठीक ठाक से बजट के, तो वहाँ से निकला जैश मोहम्मद के 3 पोस्टर है। हमें नहीं पता, सरदार ने बोला यही वो पोस्टर है जो नौगामा में चस्पान हुआ। उन्हें बस वही तीर पर लिखा है, उस पर ये महल वालों की धमकी है, अब सुधर जाओ, गलत काम करते हैं। और
तो उससे पहले किसी ने ताला खोला था कमरे का?
नहीं, 18 दिन उन्हीं के पास है। हम अंदर गए, क्या करना अंदर?
नहीं, उससे पहले पुलिस ने तो नहीं खोला था?
नहीं, जिस दिन पहले गिरफ्तार उस दिन भी नहीं खोला, क्योंकि चाबियां हमारे पास नहीं है, चाबियां उसी के पास है।
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on CNN News 18. We have some breaking news that's coming in. Now, we are a day away from the mandate of Bihar to be made public. The results will be out on Friday, and exit polls are now making predictions. Access My India is the latest one to come out with their exit poll numbers. As far as vote share is concerned, Access My India is projecting 41% vote share for the Mahagathbandhan, whereas 43% for the NDA. As far as the vote share margin is concerned, it's a 2% margin between the two alliances. JSP, which is Prashant Kishore, has not been able to make much of an impact either, is what we're learning. These are the latest numbers that have been put out by Access My India. Several pollsters who had put out their numbers yesterday had given a clear lead to the NDA. But looks like it is a mixed bag as far as Access My India projections are concerned. The vote share numbers are on your screens. They've just been put out. But there are several other parameters that Access My India has also put out. Aman, my colleague, now joins us, getting us more details and decoding that. Aman, as far as the vote share is concerned, there is a 2% margin. But on many other parameters, that gap is pretty high, especially as far as youth go or women go.
Well, yes, Poonam, Access My India is putting out a poll which is looking like the election is a bit tighter than, what the other pollsters may have predicted yesterday, 150 to 160 seats. What Access My India is saying that 43% vote share for the NDA and 41% for the Mahagathbandhan, just a 2% vote share difference. And interestingly, Prashant Kishore's party is being given a 4% vote share. That means the party is making a certain 4% vote share, and Bihar is also big, when your party is contesting individually. But I think this 2% vote difference shows that Access My India is predicting that the election may be closer than what others are saying. They're still to put out the exact seat numbers. What I found very interesting in one of their predictions is that who is the most popular face for the chief ministerial face, and Tejaswi Yadav is leading that with 34% of the sampled people saying they want Tejaswi Yadav as the chief minister, while Nitish Kumar is at 22%. So clearly, Tejaswi seems to be the more popular CM face than Nitish Kumar as per the Access My India poll, but the NDA seems to have an edge when it comes to the vote share. Another interesting thing that I saw in the this particular thing is the male-female voting percentage. Also, the NDA has better voting percentage amongst the women. So 45% women are expected to vote for the NDA, while only 40% women for the MGB. On the other hand, if you see the male percentage, 41% for the NDA, 42% for the MGB. So a slight edge amongst the male voters for the MGB, but a considerable, I think, a significant edge with the NDA when it comes to the women voters. Another interesting part that I'm seeing amongst the people who are what occupation they are doing. So amongst the unemployed people and the students, the Mahagathbandhan seems to be ringing a bell more than the others, than the NDA. So clearly Tejashwi Yadav's job promise, I feel that what he has promised that a government job in every family seems to have resonance amongst the younger, the unemployed voters, or the voters who are students, who will be stepping into the job market in a short while. There the MGB seems to be having an edge. And also the caste-wise figures that the Access by India has put out, a whopping 64% voters, Brahmin voters, are batting for the NDA. As expected, about 66% of the Rajput voters. So the upper caste voters, be it the Bhumiyar, be it the Rajput, be it the Brahmin, seem to be batting for the NDA, as well as the Yadav and the Muslim candidates, a big majority, nearly 90% of Yadav voters in Bihar and 79% of Muslim voters in Bihar, Access by India is predicting, are voted for the Mahagathbandhan. So I think that is what is making this election so a bit tighter in the Access by India poll, while other pollsters have given quite a considerable lead to the NDA. We are still awaiting the final seat numbers that Access by India will put in a while, but so far 43% for NDA, 41% for MGB, 4% for Prashant Kishore's party, 12% for other players like the AIMM, Independents, Tej Pratap's party. A host of other parties are also fighting this election. But clearly, it seems that the election seems tighter in the Access by India poll so far. We'll await the exact seat numbers, Poonam.
In that sense, it does seem like this is an outlier poll, but there is one common theme from all the pollsters that we saw yesterday, Aman, and what Access by India has given is the Prashant Kishore factor. All pollsters seem to believe that he's not going to have much impact. I mean, the youth, first-time voters, people from 18 to 30 is the vote bank that he was trying to tap into. But even in that age, as far as Access by India's numbers go or their projections go, even there, he's barely made the cut.
Yes, but Poonam, still, if he is even getting 4 to 5% of the vote, whose vote is he cutting? He seems to be cutting the anti-incumbency vote in Bihar, which is the Mahagathbandhan's vote. So if some part of the youth are actually voting for the Jan Swaraj party, whatever share he may get, if the Jan Swaraj party was not there, maybe this youth may have voted for the Mahagathbandhan, not for the NDA. So I think something is very clear that the Jan Swaraj party, even at 4% vote share, may be hurting the Mahagathbandhan more than it is hurting the NDA, and that explains the narrow difference, 43-41%, just 2% vote difference between the two alliances, which the Access by India is predicting. So I think that is very crucial, that even if small at 4%, he may not win many seats, maybe just a couple of seats, may not win any seat for that matter, but still he may hurt the vote share of the Mahagathbandhan, which may prove to be very, very crucial if it is as tight an election as Access by India is predicting.
So just a vote cutter, really not a kingmaker as you would want to be. But as far as the preferred CM face is concerned, I want to delve a little deeper on that data as well that Access by India is predicting. Nitish Kumar is at 22%. Tejashwi Yadav, even though the NDA, the Mahagathbandhan's vote share is lower than the NDA's at the moment, we don't know where the seats stand. But as far as the CM face is concerned, Tejashwi Yadav seems to be a more popular choice.
Well, that we saw on the ground as well, Poonam. When we went to the ground and my colleagues have gone to the ground, you have seen that, because also there was a very, very clear projection of Tejashwi Yadav as the chief ministerial face by the Mahagathbandhan. There was a proper press conference with the Congress party, the Left party, the VIP party, all the constituents of the Mahagathbandhan jointly declared Tejashwi Yadav as the chief ministerial face. If you've seen the RJD's posters and entire publicity during the election, it was only Tejashwi Yadav on the poster. Abki baar Tejashwi Sarkar, which was the slogan of the Mahagathbandhan. So no surprises, I think, there that Tejashwi Yadav is emerging as the most popular CM face at 34%. Yes, but I think Nitish Kumar is not far behind at 22% still, after being CM for most of the last 20 years. Even if, nearly one in every 4 voters is still backing Nitish Kumar as the chief minister. That is also a big deal for the, because he remains the most popular face definitely in the NDA. Even if you see these figures, only 14% voters are saying any candidate from the BJP. Still, Nitish Kumar has 22%, so I think the NDA would take that. Even after 20 years of him being the JDU would take that. But clearly, Tejashwi Yadav, because of his clear projection and the way he's run his campaign, I think there's no surprises that he's emerging as the most popular CM face. But can he pull his party also to the top position? Well, that remains to be seen.
And we are awaiting those final numbers from Access by India, like most pollsters had put out yesterday, whether it ends up on the same lines, whether it is the NDA that surges past, even in Access by India's poll. That's something that we are waiting for. But Pallavi also joins us on this broadcast. And Pallavi, the women factor is something that was spoken of as far as Bihar is concerned. Women have always been a voter base of Nitish Kumar. He enjoys immense popularity as far as that voter base is concerned. But if you look at the data that Access by India has put out, the difference between the Mahagathbandhan and the NDA is just about 5% as far as female voters go.
That's right. But, I think this time round, Tejasvi Yadav also understood that winning the women voters could actually be the kind of a clincher. So he also understood that would reassure a woman would not just be her economic empowerment. So it is not just the NDA, but also the Mahagathbandhan, but more importantly, the RGA within the Mahagathbandhan, which actually talked about emboldening women, talking about giving them money, 30,000 rupees into their account, talking about a permanent salary being paid to a Jivika Didis, which are the self-help women groups as well. But I think what is also important to understand why there was a huge voter turnout was the fact that women's safety became a very, very key issue. Now, Nitish Kumar goes with a track record of providing good governance, women feeling safe and stepping out, and going into multiple job opportunities. This is where Tejasvi Yadav was facing competition, which is why in the manifesto of the Mahagathbandhan, one of the most important and one of the first, second or third points I can say was that zero tolerance as far as crime is concerned. This was a reassurance he required to give to the women that, I may be my father's son, but in many ways the legacy or this allegation about Lalu Prasad Yadav running a reign of terror, Bahubali Raj, Jungle Raj, I'm going to be different from that. Which is why, I still remember the last press conference he did when the campaigning ended for the second phase. He was flanked by his sisters. I think he wanted to send out a message that I would also look after the safety of women as much as Nitish Kumar did.
And if these projections do translate, then it looks like he has tapped into that vote base that was looked at as a firm vote base of Nitish Kumar and the NDA. We'll have to wait and watch if these exit polls projections actually what happens on verdict day, and we'll keep an eye out on that. But for the moment, Pallavi, thank you so much for getting us the latest on that front. It is a wrap from my side here on this edition.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. 48 hours after a massive explosion ripped through one of the busiest and densely populated markets of the national capital, one thing is clear. India has a problem within. A white-collar network, a module operated by educated professionals, the likes of doctors. Those entrusted with principles of humanity have now joined the ranks of terror, turning into agents of death. The Delhi blast isn't an isolated act of violence, but a proof of the radicalization threat, one that cannot be downplayed or rationalized any further. How does radicalization take root amongst the educated and privileged? What drives them to turn to terror? The lines between external and internal threats are blurring, demanding a stern, multi-layered response. The fight isn't just against the enemy lurking at the borders, but against ideological manipulation within. So how does one navigate this immense challenge where every action is turned into further fuel for radicalization? That's the big debate coming up with our guests in just a bit. But remember, a short while ago, after landing in India, in the national capital from his visit to Bhutan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi headed straight to the LNJP hospital and met those injured in the Delhi blast. Following this, the Prime Minister is chairing a meeting of the Cabinet Committee on Security. The CCS meetings are attended by the Defence Minister, Minister of Home Affairs, External Affairs, Finance Minister and National Security Advisor, along with other top security and ministry officials depending on the agenda of the meet. So what is the agenda of this meeting this time around? According to sources, top officials are set to brief the Prime Minister, of course, on the investigation updates. The focus will also be on the international links and terror modules. The Faridabad and Kashmir link to the blast will be discussed, and the radicalization alarm will also be discussed because that is the big concern that is coming to light. What would be the next steps by the government? Now, this is where everybody's eyes are. We're all waiting to hear what is the direction that the government is going to take. It's not going to be an easy one. But, of course, the questions are, it's likely that there will be enhanced surveillance along the line of control in a bid to crack down on infiltration possibilities. There may be heightened cyber monitoring to fight the threat of radicalization from here on. And there may be renewed efforts to bolster intelligence to prevent such attacks in the past. It is indeed a success with a minor blip as far as the information is concerned. But the threat is not over, because through the day, there have been more alerts for at least 2 more cars that have been issued by the Delhi police. The trail of terror isn't just limited to the national capital, even as more focus has been on where these cars could possibly be. But let me trace for you the story that is more troubling for India, because this entire module began in Nagaum. The story began in Nagaum in Jammu and Kashmir, where those Jaish-related posters amplifying the Jaish agenda were put up. This led to arrests both in the valley, but also further brought forward the terror module based out of Faridabad. It's not too far from the national capital. Faridabad is technically part of the NCR region. The investigation teams busted a module there, seized huge amount of explosives and arrested those behind the conspiracy, doctors. Some